this point, we'll move on to additional discussion items. This might be a point where you want to go. At this point, we're meeting. Board of Education members request to add additional items.
At some point, we as a board in August voted to go hybrid. We've had a bait and switch. Parents are now, we're hearing from parents. Parents are hearing the Zoom meetings. They see what's happening with their kids. We're not getting what we voted for. I don't know if we need to bring an attorney. I don't know what we need to do to get what we voted for to move in that. We're not at 25%. We're not following the plan. Like you said, we're supposed to follow the plan because the plan we're following is not what we voted for.
When you say you voted for it, you're talking about in August?
Yes.
We're talking about August.
For hybrid, so.
The August plan is different now, right? We presented a whole different plan in September. We did present a survey to parents. Maybe Ms. Wood didn't receive it when she presented that. That's fine. I could resend that out. But there was a specific question in there, like if we can get in-person learning, if we have students come on campus even to participate in the Zoom was one of the survey questions Dr. Freitas filled out. That came back 78-22, 78% of the 800 parents that filled out that survey. I understand the 50% thing. That was the intention, to go from 25 to 50 to continue to grow this and continue to be more like some of our private schools.
I don't think it's the 25%. I think it's the Zoom meetings here. It's the non-personal experience here.
But the public schools and the private schools, what's a little different is the public schools are required to provide a remote option. So,
and I'm not disagreeing. It's the experience when the kids are here.
Right. So
it's as if they're not even here.
I understand.
Right.
That can't keep happening.
I understand.
Why does that keep happening? We keep, every month we keep coming back and it is continuing to happen as if we're being bullied by our staff. We refuse to do this hybrid. We refuse to teach these students. We refuse to be the teachers that are well paid, well supported. What do we need to do? I don't understand. This is 4 months. We're not getting in person. A Zoom meeting in the class where the kids can't talk to the teacher, talk to each other, is not in person, and it shouldn't be called in person. I don't know what it is, but it's not in person.
Okay, but I think we got to remember where we were at, like even when we had our meeting with the union, right? This was like trying to reach some middle ground.
I think the union needs to hear these parent comments, because what we heard from the union was none of this. The union told us they were doing stuff. That is certainly not what we're hearing.
I think the parent who spoke earlier, Ms. Sloan, she made clear that all those quotes are not the same and that there are some teachers that are going above and beyond. And Dr. Freitas talked about some of his informals. And that teachers are doing some things differently where they are teaching more to the students in person than are in the remote. And we're trying to provide that equal experience. Again, timing is everything. Would it have been easier to work through this in August? Maybe. Right?
When we came to them in July, they had the teachers union at the end of July meeting had zero concerns about learning. They were talking about other things. Then, and Laura, the problem is there are a ton of them that are doing good things, but the ones that they have chosen to speak for them, their leadership is toxic. That's the problem.
We have administrators.
And if some of those other teachers knew what they were saying to us in closed meetings, they would be shocked. Hector, I don't think they're honest with their membership about how they are representing their membership.
And we've talked about this before about really, going above and beyond and recognizing the teachers that are going above and beyond, and bringing the teachers that are doing it. They're the ones that are really going. They're thinking out of the box. To our point, how are they doing? Let's recognize that. Let's talk about it. We brought up teachers in the past, and they talked about how they did foreign language differently and how they did this differently, and it was really informative to us. And I'd really like if we could get some of the real go-getters out there to come up and say, look, I'm taking this technology to a new level, and this is really how I think we can we can do the second semester so much better than what we're doing
Yes,
today.
let's highlight our innovators.
Yeah, but
Right.
I don't think we should be tolerating, I think we should be combing the halls, and we shouldn't be tolerating 4 days a week, somebody is just doing the Zooming. It took us 4 years to go with the laptops. For 4 years, we sent teachers to other schools to learn how to use the laptops in the classroom. We shouldn't be 101 this year, we should be experts on this.
Right, but you have to remember, I know, listen, as I stated many times before, I think kids should be in school. My own kids are attending school. I'm an advocate for having kids on campus. However, when we put in this plan second quarter, the goal was just to, let's get kids back on campus, let's get the safety procedures worked out, so that second semester we can try to do more of our hybrid model. We can't forget those discussions. There were some teachers that had concerns with this model. Why are we going to just teach to a Zoom? And some of those same teachers prefer to just do 100% remote. The board and I did not think it was a good idea to do 100% remote, so this is kind of the first phase of getting students on campus. Now,
Right.
I know this is not what you wanted, but I think in Hector's email out to the staff last week, which you received a copy of, 600 kids came on campus, 600 kids. Now, with it, we're moving it in the right direction. I understand it's not the same thing.
And what I would say is we need all of the kids to come every day, because that's the way, they're the power. Lily, you and your group are the power. If you come to school, you tell your teachers, we're here to learn. And not 3 people in the class, but 15 kids show up every day, every period. That's gonna move us in the right direction. To say, oh, I don't wanna get up, well, dial it in then and be like that guy. Dialing it in.
Well, but part of the
Be the
problem-
person coming to school that's saying, we're gonna come because we want it to change. Be part of the change. The students have to, I can sit here and jump up and down, and we can sit, we've been doing pounding this table
Except,
for 5 months.
Wes, part of the problem is, like, that teacher that spoke, my kid thinks he walks on water. Honest to God. And a couple others of the teachers in this school, my kids, that's what we talked about at the dinner table,
got you
right?
going,
This
yeah.
one, that one, this is what he wore today, this is what she said, this is, right? Like, they think these adults in their lives, more than me. You don't know nothing. What do you know about that? My
But I
friend's
think-
this, my teacher's that, right? So then when some of those teachers got on, right before we went to hybrid, got on the computer, and we know this is true because we had parents report it to us, that they were like, I don't know why you're even gonna bother coming, because you might as well just stay in bed, because I'm gonna talk to the Zoom. And that went rampant. These kids, like, you don't talk on the phone anymore like we did when we were kids, right? My kids got group chats everywhere on Snapchat and this, that, and the other, right? And so now everybody heard that. The whole community heard that. Everybody heard that. And then it was like a lead balloon. They don't, and
I think we've gotta fight back.
unfortunately,
We've
you've
gotta fight
got a
back.
few
Us and our
very
kids have
vocal
to fight
teachers
back.
in this school who are speaking for the majority, and that's not how it should be. It's not how it should be. But those negative, like gossip and the negative, that's what permeates, not the positive. And so part of it is turning that around.
Yeah, and if we were doing hybrid, even at 25%, students would be here. We wouldn't be at 12%. Because students would say, I'm gonna make my one day because it's a valuable day. I'm interacting with the teacher, I'm interacting with the other students here. But it's not happening, and that's why they're not coming.
I think I made a statement before saying that the teachers weren't listening to the community, and the community's coming to tell us.
Yes, they are.
And I think
Hey,
as the
Hector.
administration walks through, if you got a teacher talking to the Zoom and kids are sitting there, we would never accept that in a non-pandemic year. Why are we accepting that now? Why is that okay to have students in front of us and not engage them? That would never be acceptable, and especially now when we're so isolated. I don't understand. Those teachers should be called out, and there should be reported that we are working with these certain teachers. Like I said, it took us 4 years to bring in the laptops, and we sent these teachers to look at other schools and find out how to integrate technology into their classroom. It shouldn't have been a learning curve. We've been using this now, and we've had resources here. And we've spent money and time to do that so that we would be prepared. I think we failed here. I really think we failed. And I think as a board, it's our job to start to ask, how are we going to move forward? What kind of data can we get back to say, we got parents that are watching the Zoom meeting. And we've even got board members who are watching their kids have the Zoom meetings. So we need better.
It's about building relationships with these kids. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then the learning comes with that.
I
Yes,
still,
Russ, if I could just quickly add, in trying to gauge the sentiments of all the stakeholders here, including the board, I think we need to do more of, right? There are many teachers, right, that are interacting with students, that are having students that are remote and in person engaged. So we just need to do more of it, and as time and as we work and as we meet and as we share best practices, we will do more. All I can say is, I know I sound like a broken record, but time and patience, please, let us continue.
I got an idea. What if we take Monday and make it senior day? So the seniors come in every Monday, and then on their regular day. Right?
well, the problem with that, I appreciate the applause, DJ. The problem with that is we still are in a pandemic. So
Well,
you still have to social distance. So if there's a
It's only
senior,
400 seniors, right?
right,
That's
but if there's
25%.
but if there's a senior English class, Wes, and 22 of them show up, I can't social distance.
Well, we'll
So,
just have to figure that out.
I mean,
No.
Yeah.
But
And-
substitute
we
Zoom them
can't-
from
we
next
can't-
door. We're
we
zooming
can't
them now. What the
sacrifice-
hell?
So if you have a senior English class or you have a senior science class and there's 22 kids, you can't have 22 kids in a classroom, right? So,
Yeah, we take the freshman class that's not here and we switch them, and we half of them that do Zoom, and then half are in the class, and we switch them. I don't know. You can figure it out. You're a smart guy, Hector. You can figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, don't
I mean,
get
I'm
me
not
wrong.
a doctor.
I'm open for everything, but I also want to add. I mean, you guys
Just
know
an
that.
idea. It doesn't
You
have
guys
to
know
work.
that, right? COVID has hit our students, our families, and our staff. And I take pride in sending a letter and saying that teacher and student haven't had in close contact with other people. If we bring too many people in, we may have to quarantine larger numbers of students. Many of these private schools in Canada, they've had to quarantine over hundreds of students. Everything's about safety. Safety. I hear you guys, and keep pushing, it's right.
I'm just saying, even on
Yeah.
the 50% model, we're only going to classes 4 days a week. So we got a fifth day to play with.
We've got to be looking at these other schools.
Right,
That's
but
We've
outside
got
the
to be
box.
visiting these other schools.
But, all right, but let's
Listen,
get, because I don't want to be here till midnight.
We can't figure it
Well,
out. We got to
that's
see what
for-
other people are doing,
We've got
because we
some-
obviously can't figure it out.
all of the public schools that were referenced tonight have a fully remote day in the middle of their plan. Altez's on Wednesdays. A lot of them used it on Wednesday, so they go kids Monday and Tuesday. There's a full remote day on Wednesday for staff break and to catch up on any asynchronous lessons, work lessons, and then they come in Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, but they're still there 4 days a week, so
No, the kids are there 2 days.
2 days, but they're still there 2 days all day.
No. LT's is not all day. Hinsdale, I don't know if that one's all day. From the private schools are doing all day. But I also know Fenwick last week had to take a break because they had 100 kids on quarantine.
Okay, but they
So
had
I'm
how many
saying
days
that-
in school?
I think we hear you loud and clear. We're the ones that created these plans back in August, and now we're trying to get kids back. We will continue to work with our staff to implement what you guys are looking for and what the community is looking for. That's our responsibility.
And I would, so I just have to say something at this point as well. I greatly appreciate all the comments that were made. Coming to a board meeting and expressing ideas and concerns is helpful. I want to know what, some of these other schools are doing and so forth. I think that's all wonderful. I would caution the entire board to recognize that this is an incredibly small sample size. This has been referred to as well. Some people think it's worthless. Other children and parents have reported that it has changed the attitude of their children. So I would caution us not to get too hot and heavy on pointing fingers, and on that point in particular, we have all been in meetings with the union. The tempers flew high, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But I am personally not in favor of, in a public meeting, to start even singling out individual teachers. I think it's inappropriate. I think our job is to govern this school with the best information, the best intent. And if we start to switch the discussion towards focusing on if they exist, or the small group that might exist, that is the anti-innovator, I think that's completely backwards. We should not get so upset and point to them and you know, pour gasoline on the fire. We have a real problem that affects everyone, which is this crisis. And I just think this isn't really that helpful, guys. I completely agree that we have to do better. I would even agree that we failed in large parts, and we're here to say, yep, we hear it, and we're gonna take responsibility, and we're asking the community members to hold us responsible. That's how this works. That's what we set up for. But to have this, and now starting this, I just have a very bad feeling about this. This is with 1,600 students, 100+ teachers, I don't know how many thousands of taxpayers. This is not an easy problem. And to now just sort of pound, and I just think that's unhelpful.
But you know, we were talking about this in August, and it's November, and we're no closer. And this is the frustration. And this is a year, it's gonna be a year of lost school for a lot of students. They've not had the same education. Many of us know educators in other schools, and we know what they're doing in other schools. At what point the board, like you said, we have to govern. At a certain point, we as a board have to say, okay, now we need, just like your boss says, hey, you know, you said you'd do that project, it's 4 months, you haven't moved on it, so now let's lay out some milestones, right? Let's lay out the milestones, and now you gotta hit them. And we as a board haven't, we thought we were laying out milestones, but apparently we weren't, and now we gotta start hitting these milestones. Because it's gonna be a whole year for some kids.
I understand that, but I don't agree with the notion that we're not any closer, as faulty as it may be, but we are closer because there was a process that led us to this point, and we've heard all these different voices. The parents come here, the teachers have strong opinions, the administration weighs in, and there is a reason we're in this position. It is the sum total of all the steps that were taken in the back and forth. Is it great? No, I don't think it's great. But look, it's my opinion. It's worth nothing. But I believe leadership has something to do with speaking up, speaking out, and I appreciate you for doing that, Laura. I think it's great. You're very passionate. Everybody here is. But if we don't get this community to come back together in some form, and that's where I'm saying I don't think we're not any closer. We are, because we keep sort of having this reoccurring thing. So I do expect the parents to acknowledge what the process was. I do expect teachers to comment on some of these things. Where do they agree with that other schools are actually doing things better? I'd love to hear from that. I expect it from them. But I also expect a certain amount of understanding from the parents and taxpayers. And I appreciate the ones that come here and share it with us. But again, I don't want to, I'm sounding like a broken record. I just, in my experience, when you deal with larger groups and complex problems, when you start pointing fingers, it's not getting any better.
We need to set milestones, because that's appropriate for a board, and we need to try and meet them, like any company would do. And I don't think we had clear milestones. Clearly, the expectations are different between what families expected and what we thought we were getting.
Right.
And then we need to say what kind of data would be reasonable to say the milestones are being met. but we're going to have to start doing that.
There's a lot of discussions that people can refer back to from August, September, October, where we laid out what this would look like and what the goal of second quarter would look like and what the goal of second semester would look like. Now, we're also trying to implement this at the worst time possible as case trend data is going in the wrong direction. Like, we should have been 50% this week and next week, taken a break at Thanksgiving, and been 50% 2 days a week for 3 weeks before winter break. But if you remember in August, when I laid out the hybrid plan, I said to everybody at the time, and this board approved that plan at 7-0, and I know some things occurred between the staff and the administration and the board that changed those plans. But this is the time when I was telling the board we may need to be prepared to go full remote during cold and flu season.
Yeah,
and we're trying to implement something that, right?
And
So of
nobody's
course it's not gonna
opposed to that. Nobody is saying if the numbers are so high, we have to be full. What are people complaining about, Dr. Skink? Because people are complaining about the actual teaching and the interaction between student and teacher, right?
Yes, but I think Tom brings up a great point in that the parents that spoke tonight have some great points. That can we do a better job? Absolutely. How about some of the emails that we've gotten from parents that said, please don't go full remote, give it another week. This is helping my kid get out of bed, or please try to get to 50%. This is actually working. And we had Lily, when she gave her report last week with Michael, that teachers were more interactive. I mean, this is what's going to, none of us have lived through a pandemic since the last one was, I think, like 1918, but I anticipated this was going to happen. I anticipated as soon as we opened the doors and we started to have students on campus, people were going to want more. The board was going to want more. The community wants more. And as they should, they pay all our salaries. I've had this conversation with staff members before. At the same time, this is all new to everybody, right? So, I mean,
You just have board members who see kids and grandkids in our feeder schools and
Right, but some of our feeder schools are going 2 hours a day. A group goes in the morning for 2 hours, and a group goes in the afternoon for 2 hours.
Right, so my grandson with 3 hours a
4.5.
day is getting a richer experience.
We're going
than-
4.5, Laura. Now, it should be 4.5 2 days a week, but the case numbers went the wrong way. And then we had teachers say, is it better for me to see my kid twice a week for an hour at a time and try to jam 5 days into those 2 hours? Or is it better for me to see my kid via Zoom 3 days, in person 1 day, 4 or 5 days a week at 35 minutes a day? I could tell you right now how that broke out. Science preferred more of a block schedule. Math, foreign language wanted to see their kids every day so that they could do repetition. So, I mean, even the staff, I understand the board's frustration, and has there been some disagreements with staff? Yes, there are some staff members that, if you ask today, they wouldn't want to be in person. But there are a lot of staff that are doing a lot of good things and are trying to make this as best as they can. And I think we're all suffering from a little COVID fatigue, Zoom fatigue.
Yeah, but-
and we will continue to work on it. I think
And
we're-
I'm telling you, I'm seeing a whole fifth grade class of kids that actually can come together and meet and talk, and they get together afterwards to go for bike rides, and they see each other in school, and they talk each other in school, and they're talking with their teacher. And even though it's not the full day, it's still it's a experience very similar to what they had. And that's what our high school kids are not getting that. And that's in this neighborhood, the same taxing body. And that's what really frustrates me the most, that our younger kids can have that. And the high school, which should be, we're supposed to be excellent. We're supposed to be leading and, be a model. And I don't feel like we're doing that.
Well, I think we all just acknowledge that we have some work to do. And, we're going to work very diligently at doing it better, right? I mean, that's what we talked for an hour before we got to the comments about we're not happy with the way it is, and we want it better. Then I think the administration sat here with a commitment to do second semester differently. And we talked, what does that different look like? Well, we're not really sure, but it's moving forward in progress. It's not perfection, it's progress. And I think though our progress might be not on, everybody's timeline, it is better than it was the third week of August. I'll tell you that. So, thank you, Hector.
I would just
We'll
encourage,
move on.
I would encourage the parents in attendance and the parents watching, when we get back from our adaptive pause, when your students have a designated day or eventually 2 days, don't let them give you the runaround. Have them come to school. I think that's a big part. The more students we can get on campus, the more teachers will continue to work and expand
Yeah.
their practices.
If there's
When
15
you got 3
kids
kids
here-
in front of you and 27 on a Zoom, and they're supposed to teach that class, which the governor is requiring, I could see where they're caught between a rock and a hard place. So what I would say is, as much as some kids don't want to come, I would know what my dad would do to me, and when I was growing up, it'd be a kick in the pants and get out the door, you're going to school whether you like it or not. So maybe that's what we need to, maybe some parents need to think about that. And then as those numbers grow, I think the experience will improve, and we'll continue to work on our end. I think you've heard that loud and clear tonight, correct?
Just one last thing.
No, let's make it one last thing. We're going to be here till midnight.
Oh, I got nothing but time on my hands. No, I just want to say, we want the best for our kids, right? We know that we need to continually strive to get better. So I think for everyone watching, that's one of the optics, or one of the things this board discusses and talks about, right? Like, one of the reasons why we are so passionate is because we all want, right? And I think everyone comes with a different lens, with different biases, with different experiences, and we all want what's best for kids, right? And so I just end with that. That's a good place to end, right? All right, let's move on.
Good, let's move on.
President's report.
I do not have a report.